all the little nuances of young Harrison Ford's voice. He doesn't sound like Harrison Ford now. He sounds like Harrison Ford back then in the how he sounded in these movies, and it's crazy. And I have to commend him for that. And it's so annoying that he didn't win anything for that. I think he should be recognized. He did a phenomenal job at that. That's one. And then the other surprise was this being a first-person game, and I didn't think because of what the premise is like. It's Indiana Jones. You're treasure hunting, so like that was like that immediately felt like you had to you know well like that would warrant for like a third person action game. Like that's what you would expect from a game like that, like having played games like Tomb Raider, the Uncharted series. Like that's what works for this type of game, right? Like, oh, you're treasure hunting person and that's what you're doing. It kind of makes sense to have it in third person, especially for an iconic character like Indiana Jones. You would expect it to be all in third person because you get to see the character and all that. It'll be fun. But no, that's not what they did. They did first person very confidently, and I was so skeptical going in to play this. I was like, I only started playing this because I love Indiana Jones and I really wanted to play the game and to see what it's like. But I was so skeptical whether it's going to be good or not. But then it really, really surprised me. It actually works in first person the way they have built the game. And there are some moments where like you're doing some platforming sections and like you're climbing sections. It switches to third person so you can see, and that really works really well for that as well. But um, it's not a heavy on action. Like you think, oh, there's gonna be a lot of shooting sections where you shoot a lot of people, you make your way through. But no, it's actually very selective about the sections where you have to shoot people. Like the action combat sequences, they're very minimal. Most of the time, you're sneaking around. There's stealth sections, and that's what Indiana Jones mostly is actually. So it makes perfect sense. So your first choice when it comes to combat isn't to shoot your way through; it's actually sneak your way through, and that's what the game also encourages you to do as well. Because even if you do have a gun, it's got a very limited number of bullets. You have to use it as a last resort. You're not supposed to be, killing your way through. Actually, you're supposed to be actually sneaking your way through as much as you can, and even most of the time, like you concuss people, make them unconscious rather than actually killing them. So it's a very surprising way to go about this game, and it really works for the game, and it really surprised me. The story also is beautifully done. Pacing is pretty good. There's a section in the game where you are in a boat, essentially in a sandbox environment in Vietnam, I believe, and you're just like boating around the map. That got a little bit boring for me, but in terms of pacing, but it picked up really well, really quick after that. Um, but yeah, sorry, Alexa, stop. um, but yeah, it really picked up for me after that. And the other thing, like I have to mention, is yeah, it's got all these sandbox mission. Every mission that you start off, like main mission, it drops you in a sandbox where it's all like a semi-open world, and you're free to roam around and actually do side quests. So each time the big main mission is completed, you are taken into a completely new location in a complete most of the time completely different country, and you have side missions to do in it, and it's like its own little world. So it's really cool because it's not completely linear. You're actually in a like a bunch of little like few open worlds as we progress through the story, and you free to do whatever you want, roam around and like find things. And it really like helps with that exploration aspect as well. Like you make it makes you feel like you're really exploring, and they balance that pretty well. And it's a really and because of that aspect of the game, it's a very long game. It takes a long time to complete if you're doing all that. But if you're just playing through the main campaign, it'll finish pretty quick. But if you're doing all the side quests and exploring, which is also fun. Exploring is fun in the game. Sorry, I just got to finish this. Yeah, it'll be fun. So definitely go play this if you haven't already. And the other game is Oblivion. I have to talk about Oblivion. This was really well done. So I'll try to. Sorry, I know I'm taking a lot longer than I expected, but this was a shadow drop. Nobody knew this was coming. 6 months ago, they just dropped it out of nowhere, and this was absolutely a big freaking deal. Let me just get out of the dungeon because that's the best part. Getting out of the dungeon. As long as usual, it takes a long time. So yeah, once you come out of the dungeon, and this is like crazy, you know. It's a really good remaster. I know it feels like a complete remake because they used Unreal Engine 5 to build the graphics into the game, but they're essentially using the old engine and the same logics and same coding. All they have updated is the skin. So essentially, this is exactly the same as the old game. All they have done is updating the graphics. They haven't actually done any like different things. So it's not a complete remake. It's a remaster, even though it looks like a remake. And that's the point. It's really bloody well done, and it plays really well. Now you can run in this game, which is awesome. It actually changed the game completely. The fact that you can run, um, but yeah, this was one of the best games I played this year. This was one of the best games when it came out, and it still holds up. Imagine that. This is the level of creativity that Bethesda was known for, and that's why they still treat it as a legendary studio, even though they haven't actually released a good game in a while. They released this, I realized that, but this was essentially a reskin. This wasn't a remake. This was a reskin. This was still the same old game. All they have done is adding running to it and updating the graphics, but they haven't actually done anything else to it. It's the raw game as you have experienced it back then, and that's the beauty of it. It looks like a modern game, but plays like an old game. So, um, yeah. Anyway, if you haven't played Oblivion at all, like if you're young enough to not have played it back then, you have a chance to play it now, and it still holds up. It still holds up. All they needed to do is add the running, and it actually holds up now. So go and play it if you haven't. And the next one, this was coming. This should not come to you as a surprise at this point. Definitely not, because it is Expedition 33. This was holy crap, man. Like I don't think I have to spend a lot of time like telling you how good this was, yeah. I don't think I had to spend a lot of time telling you how good this was, because it was good. Like, you should be already convinced at this point, because this won every award under the sun, like I said before, and uh, everyone has been praising the game. So I don't have to convince you to play this. This is absolutely a banger, and it is one of the best games I have played this year for sure. Uh, the the only thing that I would say is I'm not the kind of person who plays turn-based games, like turn-based combat games, like this one that you're about to see right here. So, uh, as you can see, it's a turn-based game, but it also has some elements where you can do active parrying and dodging. That makes it feel like you're in live combat, which is why it works so well, because it's kind of a hybrid take to turn-based action RPG games, with a active combat twist, where you do take your turn in, take your turn in attacking the target, but you have to do active parrying and dodging. and that makes you like that keeps you engaged throughout the combat and makes it like a really fun thing to do. It's almost like what does it feel like? It feels like it's like a little mini game where you have to like time uh you know what is that game called, like in the carnival game where you like have a hammer and you like hit the popping heads. It feels like that. You gotta wait for until it pops up and just bam, like you hit it on time. It feels like that, but except you gotta time the parries and dodges, and that feels really satisfying when you get it right. And yeah, I don't know. They just nailed the combat, and the combat uh, was one of the highlights for me, especially as a person who don't play turn-based games like this. It was a really surprise, really big surprise, because going into this, the only reason why I played it because it looks so good. Like the art style was very intriguing for me, and a lot of my mates actually recommended that I try it out, even though I don't play this type of game. So I kind of gave in. I'm like, all right, you know what? I will try it. And surprisingly, I ended up enjoying the heck out of this game, even as a player who don't play turn-based games. So that's saying something. So if you're not into turn-based games, completely get it. But I say try this if you haven't already. If you're one of the few people who haven't tried it already, just try it. Um, the second one, this one, the second one. What am I talking about? The other one that I'm talking about is the other best pick for me is Doom: The Dark Ages. That's right. That's right. The Doom: The Dark Ages is 100% one of my best picks. This is just mindless fun for me. It doesn't make you think too much. As you can see, it's like Dark Ages. Doom is not supposed to work in a environment like this. It's like a middle, like not Middle Ages. What am I talking? It's like dark. Yeah, it is kind of medieval times kind of thing, but it's a really weird hybrid take on the genre of Doom, and it still somehow works. You got a shield now, which is awesome, and you can literally aim the shield at people, and then just like you can look at it there, bam. You can just aim the shield and then just like slam onto them from a really great distance, and it feels so satisfying when you just slam onto them and they just go in pieces. It's crazy, and it doesn't make you think too much. All you have to do is pick up the upgrades and the health bars and the armor pieces, and then just keep slamming onto enemies and shooting them and doing all the crazy stuff that you normally do in Doom games, and it's just mindless fun. Just a lot of mindless fun, and it feels freaking great. Like it never gets old. Never really gets old, right? So this is 100% one of my okay. Yeah, so this is 100% one of the top picks for me, I would say. Yeah. 100%, 100% one of the top picks for this year. So if you haven't played this game, I would definitely recommend you play this. Definitely. Uh, what else? What else? What are the other games that I would want to play? The other pick for me is this might actually not a lot of people. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you'll agree, maybe you won't. I don't know, but this was definitely one of the highlights for this year for me. I really enjoyed, which was Mafia: The Old Country. This was definitely one of the highlights for this year for me. It's not a big game, I know. It's not like a massive game either, you know. It's a very short, like a bite-sized game, really. Um, and yeah, I don't know what's going on with the chat, man. Anyway, uh, Yeah, this was definitely one of the surprises for me because after the disaster that was Mafia 3, I wasn't expecting much coming from Hangar 13. And even when they said, like, even first they announced the Mafia, the old country, they're going back to like the old Sicily, um, and this game is going to be a prequel to all the games before. Um, was a little skeptical as to what they were going to do, and then I saw some gameplay, and it really got me excited. So they scaled it back a lot. And if you have played like original Mafia games, I'm talking about Mafia 1 and 2, with an exception of 3, the third one was an exception. Um, what they have always done with their Mafia games is use the open world, like the cities that they've used. The open world was not really filled with like things to do. It was kind of used as a backdrop mainly. That's what they've done with Mafia games, and it was kind of a thing for them. Like if you played first game and the second game, even the definitive edition or the first Mafia 1 remake, um, it's a beautiful game, and you'll see it's an open world game where you can drive around, but the open world doesn't really have anything, and it's not supposed to, because it's just a backdrop for your main story, and that's the kind of the point. But what they did with Mafia 3 was they tried to make the open world fill with stuff for you to do, and that became kind of a mess because that's not their strong suit. Hangar 13 is really good at delivering heartfelt stories. Their storytelling is actually one of the best in the industry, and but what they're not great at is producing open world with a lot of side quest and content. That's not their strong suit. They tried to do that with Mafia 3 and they just didn't work. So what they have done with Mafia all country is then going back to the roots of how they made the first games. And essentially what they have done is you got the old Sicily, and it's a kind of a backdrop. You got a looming volcano that's about to erupt. It's smoking, and that's kind of the presence of itself. It's a character. So they made the entire old Sicily country into a character in itself that's alive and well, and that really worked for the story. You literally have don't have a single thing to do in that world. You can drive around. You can go ride around in a horse in the countryside, and it's really nice. It's beautiful to look at. This is the said volcano I'm talking about up there, over here. Like this, you can see that in the background in these shots. And the volcano itself also plays a huge part of the story as well, because the looming threat of volcanic eruption. And I really had fun with it. Really had fun with it. And it's kind of like a juxtaposition, I would say, because the 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 mood of the volcano kind of reflecting the progression of the story and like what's going on in the actual story that's been told. And it's really fun to draw that comparison and see what the hell is going on. It's really heartfelt, it's really moving, and it's a bit of a tearjerker in the end, actually. And I did not expect it to be this good, honestly. Again, combat is nothing to give a lot of praise about or anything. It's very minimal, and you just your normal basic combat, nothing you haven't seen before. But the storytelling and the way it plays, it's actually very good. Um, the only thing I had issues with is like the main, like every now and then you have knife fights with people, and that felt a little forced at times. In some of the times it made sense, but other times it just didn't make sense. Um, yeah, other times it didn't make sense, but yeah, other than that, the game was great. So if you haven't played this is maybe a couple of weekends and you can finish it. So if you haven't played this, I highly encourage you to play this game. Highly encourage you. Yeah, so that's one. What else? Oh. The other one the other pick that I'm gonna give you is, this is also probably shouldn't come to you as a surprise, is Ghost of Your Tale. I know, people like, calling this Ghost of War K or whatever, but man, this game was amazing. I really enjoyed Ghost of Tsushima, and you guys know this. I've talked numerous times about this before, but I really, really had fun playing this game. I think this actually plays a little bit better than Ghost of Tsushima did, which is saying a lot. And yeah, it's a very different game, both thematically, story wise, and also the gameplay wise as well, because you're not doing stances, like different stances with your katana anymore, because you're not really a samurai. Um, in this one, you're more like a ronin, like like a you're a ghost actually. So um, it plays a little bit different, because now you don't have stances, you have different weapons that you switch between during combat. Somehow it plays really well. It really, I was pretty skeptical, but the concept of switching the switching between different weapons, melee weapons during combat, is exactly the same as what they did with the different stances in the first game. But instead of different stances, you're just switching weapons. That's all it is. But the feel and the combat, how it like flows out, is exactly the same, and it's just done better. So it's really good, and the world itself is pretty. I think it's actually bigger than what Tsushima was, and yeah, it's a really good time. It's not groundbreaking. They haven't done a lot of things different to the first game. It's just they've improved on the first game, and then just like really like polished it up. And well, the first game was a